Hi there, everyone. Surprise, I'm back. Would join me for another episode of Carla is Crafty, formerly Crochet CJ. We're on episode 66. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Carla. I'm a mom, a wife, and a midwife, and I'm a born again Christian, and I love people enough to tell them that. So, I know it's been a while. I know I told you last time my dog had gotten attacked and had been through all this, and we got all that resolved, and he's great, and he's completely healed, and everything's well with him. I had gotten sick just before that happened and started having some issues with fluid in my ears. They thought it was an ear infection. We did antibiotics. Didn't seem to clear it up, so they did some steroids to see if they could get that to dry up. That didn't work. And in the midst of just kind of a delay getting in to see someone else because of all that was going on with Neville, I went to see my primary, and she'd done the steroids, and then she said, if those don't work, we'll send you to an ear, nose, and throat doctor. And I was like, okay, that's great. Anyway, that's a long story for the very end of the video. So we'll do the crafty stuff, and then if you want to stick around to hear that story, anyway, suffice it to say, it kept me from just sitting down and doing a video. It's really hard to do a video when you just don't feel well, and it didn't keep me from working, thank goodness, but it was really just hard to do some of the other things that I like doing because I was so worn out, because basically I could sleep and go to work. And I just said we'd save that for the end, and here I go again. So I swear we're starting now. So finished objects. The vanilla socks I was working on. The pattern is from the Unapologetic Knitter, and the yarn was Universal Yarn Allegro wool for yarn, 93% acrylic, 7% polyester, and the color Grape Sonata. Here's my well-worn copy of this pattern. I don't think I got around to linking patterns last time. I apologize. I'll get that done this time. And then this is what the socks look like. So I know they look super short, but I promise you they stretch out and they fit perfect. So anyway, they turned out really pretty. I like the colors. I always like to have a card project going, and a lot of times it's either a hat or a pair of socks, because I can throw a small bag in the car with me when we go places, or take it when I go wait in waiting rooms and things like that. So I always have something doing, and then I save my bigger projects, or projects maybe that I need to concentrate more. I save those for home. My next finished object is a Simple Pretty Squares baby blanket. The pattern is from Peach Unicorn Designs, and the yarn is Premier Dotty 100% acrylic. There's 656 yards in a skein, and that's 7 ounces. And the color I used was called Rosy Posy. So Dotty yarn from Premier. My sweet friend Mary, for my birthday, got me a lot of Premier yarns that I like. Anyway. Isn't that pretty? I think it turned out so nice. And of course the borders seed stitch, but then you just do these repeats, and mine's not as big as the pattern says it will be, even though I used DK yarn, because they used a larger skein of yarn. I believe it was some UK yarn. I'm pretty sure it was a UK pattern. And she actually did hers like in stripes, but I felt like you could see the pattern really well even with just the dotty, which I think works up really pretty. My next finished object, I have done tons of Ross hats. I can't even tell you if I have all of them that I've done in the past few months, because I do them and sometimes I give them away. So this one is done in, it is Stylecraft, nope, sorry. It is Premier Color Fusion DK, and the color Autumn Sky. Just a really pretty Ross hat. I made it a little longer so it can be slouchy. It's really cute. And then I made 2 in this yarn. This one actually is the denim color, and then the other color yarn I used is this red, deep red. This is one of the hats I made that I gave away, but that's the yarn color. As you can see, I probably have plenty left for another hat or 2. What I found with some of these skeins of yarn is I can make like 2 adult hats, and then I have enough left over to make like a baby hat. So I'm kind of doing that. So I have some cute little sets. This is bulky yarn. That is Premier Rustic, and it's 218 yards, 7 ounces, 100% acrylic. Like I said, deep red and denim. And then the Ross hat pattern is from Ross at Smell Great Guy. So it's my favorite hat pattern. I love it. I use it all the time, and I always try to give Ross credit because it's his pattern. My next finished object is a pattern called American Inspiration, and it's actually from this Honoring Our Veterans book from Leisure Arts, and the author is Carolyn Pfeiffer. My sweet friend Sandra sent me this book, and the actual blanket is red with blue in between. So I didn't do the stitches like for the blue. I just did one solid color. I was looking for something to do that I could just sit and work on that didn't take a lot of attention to it. I mean, it's basically a shell stitch, and so it's just a little lap blanket, but it's really, I thought, turned out pretty. And the yarn I used is actually Red Heart Super Saver in the color Medium Time. There's 364 yards in 7 ounces. It's 100% acrylic, and I used an entire skein, and then I had another one that probably had 80% of the skein left. So I used about, 1.8 skeins of yarn for that one. I just kept going until I got to, where I knew I was going to run out. Because I just wanted to make it big enough to, for a lap blanket or something like that. And then my next finished objects, these are called chain link hats, and it's actually a pattern that I just made up because, in Oklahoma it gets cold, okay, but sometimes it doesn't get super cold. But sometimes you need something on your head, but you don't need something on your head that's solid, okay? So I made these because, see, they're just such a loose pattern that you don't get overheated, okay? And actually kind of the idea was behind it because sometimes when I get up and have to run somewhere and my hair is crazy, I wanted one that would be kind of a little more floofy like this one, that I can actually tuck my hair up underneath. So, kind of like a snood, I guess maybe is what it would be. I don't know. This one is made with that Premier DK Color Fusion in the Autumn Sky. I just took what was left on that skein and worked on it. It took 1.2 ounces to make this hat. So, and then this one is actually sock yarn. It's Stylecraft All Stars, 75% superwash wool, 25% nylon. The skein is 437 yards, 100 grams. This color is Saltaire, S-A-L-T-A-I-R-E, not solitaire, Saltaire. Don't ask me. It's from the UK, so I don't know. That has some meaning there, I'm sure. I used about 1.4 ounces or 42 grams of that skein, so almost half the skein of sock yarn to make this one. And like I said, I was trying to make it extra long. And basically what I did was I did crochet, I just chained like, I want to say 11 on this one, and then I went back and did 10 single crochets, and then I just crocheted in the back loop going back and forth 10 across until I got it big enough to fit around my head. And then I chained up 7, and every fourth single crochet on my band I hooked into, and then I just hooked into the center of those, and I just did 7 chains and hooked in. I'm going to write it down, okay? I'm going to type it up, and I'll either put it on the Facebook page. I think I can link it in the description, but I'm not sure. It depends on, I guess, probably what format I put it in, but I'll definitely put it on the Crochet CJ Facebook page. I don't know if I've changed the name on there or not. I'm telling you, it's been a wild 3 months. So anyway, that was just kind of fun. I don't charge for my patterns because I don't make them very often, and I just thought that would be really fun. And I mean, it's all chaining. I mean, it's so easy. But it was just kind of fun to do. And I'm going to play with it some more and see if maybe, I thought about doing it in crochet thread to make it really kind of snood looking, but we'll see. My next finished object is, I did this little cauldron. This was on one of the, see, it's got little handles and everything and little bobble stitches for feet. And I just did it. This is black Red Heart Super Saver, and this is, I think, pumpkin is the color Red Heart Super Saver. This was on one of the Halloween things or fall crochet alongs, and they did something every day. And I don't do every pattern just because, again, I would just wanted something to do that was easy, that I didn't have to think too much about, because all this stuff with my ears and stuff had me in such a fog. It was really hard to concentrate on anything that was even remotely something you had to think about. And so I just played around with that, and then I've already given them to one of the grandbabies, but I made this ghost and one of these jack-o'-lanterns. Now, these are made out of thread because they're for decorations, right? I made them out of Red Heart Super Saver, pumpkin, white, black, because, again, I was just doing something easy, something playing around, doing that, and it made them really nice and big, and they were good stuffies for toys, and so I gave them to a grandbaby. And so they are from this Annie's Halloween from 2021. It's crochet, knit, quilt. So I've also made this, and I have made this. That's all I've made out of this, but anyway, I'll make more stuff out of it, because like I said, this is from 2021, and I've made 2 or 3 things out of it over the years. I just pulled it out because I wanted something easy to do, and it's getting close to Halloween, and that's always fun to do. So that's all my finished objects. That cauldron, I'll have to find the pattern online and get it to you guys, because I don't remember who did it, because I didn't write it down, because I'm really bad. Joys in progress. Right now, I don't have any knitted or crocheted items on the hook on the needles. I have a quilt. It's an angel quilt. A dear friend of mine commissioned it for her sister, and it's beautiful. It's very pretty pastel colors with different little angels and different little decor on it. And I've gotten it put together, the quilt tops together. I went and picked up the backing today, and I hope to get it on the frame to be quilted tomorrow or Monday. I don't think it's bad, since I just started it last week. I mean, I had everything cut out and ready to go, and then I started sewing it together. But you're sewing a lot of little pieces that you've cut out, because crazy people cut fabric into tiny pieces and then sew it back together, just in a different pattern. But I love it, and it brings me a lot of joy. So that's waiting for me to finish. That's my only joy in progress right this minute. I do have some knitted and crocheted items that I want to start. And now that I'm feeling better, I think I'm going to start some of those instead of pulling up something crazy. This week is our county fair here in Oklahoma where I live, and I was going to enter some things in the fair, and I didn't get around to pulling anything, and I'm kind of glad I did because I guess they decided to go with an online entry this year, but they didn't tell anybody. So everybody showed up at the fairgrounds at the expo center to sign up and put their stuff in the fair, and they were having to put it all on the computers, and there was the line, and I mean people were just leaving and not putting their stuff in the show, which is sad. I mean they actually put an apology out on Facebook saying we're really sorry that we obviously weren't prepared and we didn't get this done the way we thought we would, and we hope that you guys will understand that and then come back next year and enter things. And so maybe next year I'll enter some things. Acquisitions. So I have a friend who does cosplay, and she's a nerd like I am. She's the one that made my Winifred costume last year. It's actually my daughter-in-law's mom. And when my daughter-in-law and son and the grandkids came to visit last month, they brought me. Anybody know what it is? You know what it is? It kind of goes. It's a tribble. Okay, for those Star Trek fans out there, Seta knows what I'm talking about. Tribbles. There was an episode of Star Trek, the original Star Trek, called The Trouble with Tribbles. And these tribbles were these little furry things that just exuded like, I don't know, probably Pitocin, the love hormone or something, because everybody loved them and they were so sweet and everybody wanted them. But these things would like alert you to Klingons. So yeah, you have to go back and find that episode and watch it. Anyway, they also multiply like rabbits, and so they were everywhere. They were all over the ship. It was crazy. I think they were like gumming up the works and stuff, and I'm sure Scotty hated them. Oh, to be a nerd. And then I think when they did the next Star Trek reboot, they did one called More Trouble with Tribbles. I saw that episode when it came out, but I've not, seen it since, and I don't remember a whole lot about it, but I'm sure Mr. Data had something to say about tribbles because Mr. Spock did too. Other acquisitions, I was at Hobby Lobby and they had some clearance stuff, and I'm not going to use these as stamps. They're stamps. But they were on clearance and they were so inexpensive. So I got them, and I'm going to make a little collage. And, this one says, "Fear not, for I'm with you. Be not dismayed, for I'm with you always. I will strengthen you," Isaiah 41:10. This one says, "Be still and know," Psalm 46:10. This one says, "He works all things for good of those who love him," Romans 8:28. And this one is, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only son," John 3:16. We all know that one, right? And then this one is, "I am with you always," Matthew 28:20. And I just thought, this one wasn't on clearance, but this is my favorite verse, is Joshua 1:9. There's more to the verse, but basically be strong and courageous. And so that's my favorite verse. And so I just went ahead and bought that because I want that in the collage. So I need to find a frame that I can kind of set them into. And I just thought, since they're wooden, I thought they would make a cute little like wall hanging thing. So when I do that, hopefully in the next couple of months, after I get it done, I'll bring it back and show it to you guys. My last acquisition, I have a sweet friend, and her name is Wendy Jo, and she sent me these books that she personalized for me. And so like this one's a little tiny one, but this one I keep in my bag all the time. I had to go get it out of my bag because this is, I put notes and things in this and just kind of use it when I need a notebook and I'm on the go. This one, it's really cute. It's got a little pocket that she put in there, and then she put like, inspirational stuff, and it's got a really pretty front to it. And then in the back there's another one. Oh, look, my favorite Bible verse, "Be strong and courageous." I don't think she knew that. So that's kind of cool. And then she put these little bookmarks in there, and it just tells me this is a pocket. And there was one for the front too, but I'm using it. I'm actually using this for my daily SOAP Bible study. SOAP is you read scripture and then you think about it, and you know, read through it and think about it. And then A is for apply. It's how does it apply to your life? And then P is prayer. You know, how does that lead you to pray? And so that's just kind of that's what I do my daily Bible readings. And that's what I've been using that book for. And then she gave me this big one, which is really nice. It's got this thing on it too. And this one has pockets and in the center, and she has a little list for my prayers and little bookmarks and a giant paper clip, which I totally appreciate. I love giant paper clips. I have several. And then there's more pockets and things in the front. And then and I just love it. I think it's gorgeous, and I'll probably use that for daily Bible readings too, unless I find another purpose for it in the meantime. She's so sweet, because when she found out what I was using them for, she said, oh, well, if you need more, you let me know, and I'll make sure you get some more. She's just super sweet. So that's kind of it for that. That's all the crafty stuff and all the things I've acquired. I haven't really acquired too much crafty items other than those stamps that I'm not going to use like stamps. But I'm trying to use what I have and not buy yarn or fabric. I'm trying to use what I have in my stash. I did buy the yarn for the angel quilt because she specifically wanted angels on the quilt. And most times when I go to back a quilt, I have to go buy backing because I don't usually keep large pieces of fabric around. So if you guys are done with the crafty part, that's great. A little personal note. Like I said, I was, having all these issues, and we did antibiotics and we did steroids. And when I contacted my primary care and said the steroids didn't help, in fact, it's worse. And at that point, not only did I know there was fluid in my ears, but I was also having vertigo. When I would lay down in bed or roll over to one side or the other, I would get terrible vertigo. If I'd bend over, if I'd look straight up, I'd get vertigo. And then I also had, I'm assuming they're going to refer to it as tinnitus or tinnitus. And I just had this constant sound in my ears. It's not, I've had little bouts of tinnitus throughout the years where just for a few seconds you hear that really high-pitched noise. This is more of just like a I don't know, kind of not even a hum or anything. It's just like static almost. I don't know. Anyway, and it was causing sound distortion. So like voices and the radio and everything just sounded like it was coming through water or a broken speaker or something like that. And when I contacted her, her reply was, instead of referring me to an ear, nose, and throat like she said she was going to, her reply was, I don't know what to do for you. Go to the emergency room. And I'm like, okay, as healthcare providers, it's our responsibility to keep people from using the emergency room as their primary care office, right? And to me, it wasn't emergent. It was an ongoing problem that I needed dealt with. And so I did go to urgent care because I felt like that's a little more like going to a doctor's office, because I knew I'd be able to get in there, whereas I wouldn't be able to get in with another primary care, which I have since found a new primary care that I'm going to be going to see. And when I went to urgent care, they're like, it's really easy. We're just going to refer you to an ear, nose, and throat. So literally that's what they did. They referred me. And I went to see the doctor. They did a hearing test, and they said, yeah, you've got some hearing loss in your right ear. They did some other stuff, and then he had me do this thing called a VNG, which is I can't even pronounce it. I can't pronounce it. Anyway, basically, they have you stare at this dot and do some other head movements and things like that, and then they put cold air into each ear and then warm air into each ear, and they have this thing that videos your eyes and to see what they do. And so from that, she felt like it was more like benign positional vertigo, not anything, like changes in permanent changes that couldn't be reversed or whatever. And I'm telling you what, the cold air was bad and it made me nauseous, but when they put that warm air in your ears, I mean, literally, she did the right side, and I mean, I'm like, as soon as I could sit up, I had, alcohol swab under my nose and taking deep breaths, and I got through that, and she's like, do you want to finish or do you want to stop? And I'm like, no, let's finish. So she did the left ear, and the minute she was finished, the alcohol swab, nothing was helping. I literally sat up and just started vomiting, and because it made me so dizzy. And then later that day, I had an MRI of my brain, and yes, there is a brain in there. And then I had to wait 2 weeks to go see the ear, nose, and throat and get the results. And, I feel like as a healthcare provider, obviously, if there's something really wrong, they're not going to make you wait 2 weeks. They're going to call you and do. And so I called and tried to get in earlier just so I wouldn't have to wait 2 weeks, but I ended up waiting the 2 weeks. I go in to see him, and he says, well, it's just all a normal part of aging. I said, seriously, the sound distortion and the sound in here, and, and I said, I get the hearing loss might be. I said, but there's fluid in there, and I can tell because I can pop my ears, and sometimes my hearing gets better when I pop my ears. And he's like, well, no, it's nothing. It's just you're getting older, and it's, that's what it is. And I'm like, no, it's not, because this was not a gradual thing. It was a very sudden onset of symptoms, and just progressively getting worse now. So I'm going to seek a second opinion, because he just said, just keep taking, the Clarinex, which is, the prescription Claritin, which is what he had put me on, to see if it doesn't improve. And I mean, it has gotten better. Okay. The sound distortion is gone. I no longer, I hear everything normally. Okay. And my hearing's better. It was the right ear, and I do hear better. I still have that constant in my ears. Sometimes it's worse. Like first thing when I get up in the morning and I'm a little congested, it's worse. And I mean, it may have to do with allergies, because the pollen count here right now is insane. But I'm still having the vertigo when I lay down, look up, look down, bend over. And it only lasts for a few seconds, okay? It's a minor inconvenience. Everybody's like, they should put you on Smetaphone for it. And I'm like, I wouldn't be able to function, because they give you like meclizine or Dramamine or something. And I mean, I would be asleep on the floor if they gave me that stuff, because it makes people sleepy, but it would really make me sleepy. So I've just continued with my antihistamines, and we're just going to go from there. But all that to say, until it cleared up a little bit and got better, it was just almost this constant fog and just sound and distortion, and it was all I could do. I mean, I had the energy to go to work and do my job the way I needed to do at work and be safe, but the rest of the time I just was exhausted. I didn't go to the gym for like 2 months. It was horrible. Now I'm going back to the gym. I'm getting back to doing things that I enjoy doing. I mean, I didn't work on quilts because I just didn't have the energy. I barely had the energy to do a little something in my chair. Although, as you can tell, that's changed, and I have done quite a few things in the last few months. I never did, because of that, I never did get on YouTube and learn how to edit videos and stuff, which is something I need to do. But here we are, almost 30 minutes, and most of it was just me yakking. I am, a week from Monday, going to take a cookie decorating class to learn how to decorate cookies with royal icing. I'm really excited. I watched that Halloween cookie challenge and the holiday Christmas cookie challenge and stuff on Food Network. I also watched the baking championships for Halloween and the holidays too. But I can bake delicious cookies, cakes, cupcakes, whatever, pies, all sorts of things, but I'm just not much of a decorator. So I'd really like to learn how to do that. And so, a friend of mine is going to go with me. It's a local bakery sponsoring it. They're having it at one of the community centers locally. So we're going to go. It's like $45 and they supply everything. So we will see. It's a 2-hour class. We'll just see how much this old, what is it? You can't teach an old horse new tricks. Is it horse? I think so. It's an old saying. I should know it because I'm old. Anyway, we'll see if they can teach this old horse any new tricks. Because I'd really like to be able to do it because it's so much fun. And I'll let you know if it works out. We get to take home the cookies we decorate. So if they turn out great, I'll video. If they turn out not so great, I'll just eat them. Anyway, I love you guys. Remember, Jesus loves you and so do I. Take care and have a great week. And God bless y'all.